Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. Jacalyn. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. Jacalyn at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. I'm the president, founder, and chief listening officer here at our network. Our show today is called Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn, a show about nothing. You may think to yourself, well, what will we be watching or hearing or listening? We're going to have an authentic conversation. This is my virtual living room. Welcome. And I invite guests from around the world to come and just have a candid and open conversation about anything, everything, and nothing. So let's welcome our guest. She is no stranger to our platform. She is with me as my co-host on The Listening Mentor. And she also is a very big part of the Elevated Listening community. For those of you who are members, she does the guided meditations that are bringing that peace and calm into your life. She's also an elevated listener, and she's soon to be a talking head coming next month. So let's welcome the Harley Street stress expert, Caroline Heward. Hi, Caroline. Yeah.
It's a different day, isn't it? It's Tuesday.
It is. It's not Friday. It's Tuesday. I love it. And, you know, this show is all about getting to know each other and just connecting on different levels than when we have a structured show. So I think it would be really interesting to learn about this work that you do with these gongs, these gong baths. I don't really know what it is, but I know it's a way that you regenerate and tap into yourself. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. It's long. Have you got some time?
We've got 40 minutes.
Okay. Well, a long time ago when we were born with no mind. I promise you, none of us had mind. And what happened in that space is that we were sensory and experiencing babies and beings. We experienced life through our sensories. We didn't analyze anything. On Easter Sunday, if we smelt chocolate at 4 a.m, we wanted it and we asked for it. And we didn't think about the time. We didn't think about it or spoil breakfast. We just smelt it. We wanted it. And there was no conversation. And this is where I go. The gongs, the meditation, my chanting, everything that I do takes me to that place of no mind. And that no mind is actually the experience of where we were when we were first born. That's our most natural space to be, in a space of no thinking, no conversation, no analytical debate, no thinking or in conversation with, I shouldn't do this, I shouldn't do that, you know, that inner chatterbox. None of that, simply being in an experience of literally nothingness, the nothingness of the sensory in terms of experiencing what do we see, what do we hear, what do we taste, what do we smell. And when I'm in a gong bath, essentially it's huge gongs that are played. And they play them with mallets, a bit like this one, but it's a lot, let me just make sure I'm in focus, which is a lot smaller than the ones that they play on the large gongs. And the gongs literally work in the vibration of the 7 major chakras of our sensories. And they literally balance and they put us back in tune with the frequency that each of those chakras was meant to be, the frequency of how we were born, where there is no imbalance, no problems, no symptoms, literally a space of calm and inner peace in every aspect. And so I literally lose myself in the gongs, in my chanting, and in anything that I do in terms of my meditation. It is a place of no mind. Can you imagine that?
I think for some people it's hard to imagine.
It is. Certainly a lot of my clients that come to see me say, I can't believe you can do that. I can't sleep at night. I wake up in the middle of the night and I just can't get out of my head. I'm thinking about the next day's meeting. And I always say, I not only say it's possible when you come and see me, I guarantee it. I guarantee that you will go into a place of no mind. And one of the skills that I have is that because I've been doing the work for such a long time, I work in alpha level brainwave. So beta brainwave is when we're conversing, when we're really chattering, and alpha brainwave is what I call the duvet moment. You know, when you wake up and you're kind of half asleep, half awake, and you're a little bit, sort of dewy-eyed, and you're thinking, oh, I'm really comfortable to stay here. I've got to get up and, sort of I've got to go to the bathroom, but you're really comfortable. And it's that calm state of inner being. And I call it the duvet moment, where you are very awake and yet very relaxed. The mind is very peaceful. That's alpha brainwave. And I literally speak. I do everything in alpha level brainwave. So when I shower, I'm in alpha level brainwave. And when babies are born, they're born in alpha level brainwave, sensory without thinking. And so it is possible, even through a phone conversation. I've actually had people say, I don't know what it is about you when I have dinner with you or when I speak to you for kind of 15, 20 minutes. I always feel really relaxed. What's going on? What is it that you do? Because we're just talking about normal stuff and yet I feel really relaxed. And even you have commented about, what is it? I feel really zen when you answer a question. And it's because I'm actually speaking in alpha level brainwave. It's not something I put on. It's something that's now part of me. It's who I'm being.
You absolutely do have a calming effect, and I think it's your voice as well. So something that just came up for me on Friday, we interviewed someone who is an expert in face reading. Have you ever had your face read?
I haven't, no. So I'm interested to hear.
Well, when you just mentioned about the fact that people tell you, like I've told you, that you have this calming effect, I have had the ability through my whole life, really, that people just open up and tell me things that they wouldn't necessarily tell anyone else. So people are friends for years, and somebody introduces me to the other person, and all of a sudden the person's telling me their deep dark secrets, and the first person will be like, I've known her for 20 years and she never told me that. So I asked the face reader about this, and she said it's because of my nose, because I've roundness to the tip of my nose, and that because my bottom lip is larger than my top lip, that people know that I will keep their secrets. What do you think about that?
Wow. Oh, how fascinating is that?
1-800-SECRETS. Go ahead and call.
That's amazing. No, I've heard about face reading, but I've not actually gone into it, because that's a whole level of interpretation and a whole psychology in itself and methodology. But yeah, that's fascinating. Well, I'd love somebody to read my face.
I'll connect you with her. So I know that also you have done some work. I don't know what the term is, but you've been able to cut a board with your hand, right? Like a chop a board.
Yeah, I have. I've got a few to show you if you'd
Oh,
like
you
to
do?
see.
Oh, good. Let's talk about it.
Well, this is one that I did, sort of a few weeks ago, and I broke through I am not enough. And this is one I broke through in 2007. This was a lot thicker. And this one was fear of failure. So I put the words, don't know whether that's going to come through. I put the words on the board, and then I break through them. And essentially, this is less about brute force and more about the mind, because everything is energy and it's not matter. And so if everything is energy, the hand wouldn't slice through that board. But then when you don't think about it as matter, and you're out of the fact that that is a board, and you're breaking through whatever it is that you have written on the board, then it's a different space. So it's not about the board, it's a metaphor for breaking through whatever it is that you've written on the board. And this is what the monks do. You know, I've walked on hot coals as well. You know, sort of, I've walked on fire with Tony Robbins. I did that back in 2007. I did a lot of very interesting things in 2007 because I'd just come out of a marriage and a divorce, and I wanted to find out who the hell I was. So I did some interesting physiology things like walking on fire, and board breaks, arrow breaks from the throat, barred bends from the throat. And it's actually about, you know, this kind of mind over matter, that if there is no mind, then it doesn't matter. And you literally break through because everything is energy. And if you're not thinking about it as solid, you can literally break through it through mind, through intention.
Congratulations, first of all. And second of all, if you're not in the right mind frame, I would assume you could really hurt your hand.
Yes, and then in the training, it's, you know, it's sort of, you know, you position your legs this way, and you're only hitting the board with this here. And yes, you could hurt your hand if you kind of go at it with brute force, because that's not what it's about. It's, you know, the person that is coming from a place of ego will kind of go, oh, I'm going to do this, you know, and they'll break the board, but then they kind of hurt their arm. Yeah. And I only did this about 2 weeks ago, and the hand didn't get hurt at all. In fact, the trainer, he turned around and he said, you proper broke that.
So you mentioned there is some kind of training. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, only in the place of, you know, just that you stand in a certain way, so that your arm literally, you know, sort of, you're using your arm in the right way, your hand in the right way. But the training is really, it was a coaching NLP hypnotherapy training that I had done. It was on the second day. It was a whole weekend. And the trainer essentially was using it as part of his training, that everything is not what it seems. Did you ever watch The Matrix?
Yes, I did.
You did? Well, I love that. We were part of my core training, core text was to watch that movie when it first came out. So it was kind of back in the early, I don't know, kind of 2001, 2002, something like that. It's a long time ago, you know, when it first came out. And we had to watch it. And there was a whole lot of other levels going on. So it wasn't just a fighting movie. My then husband, he turned around and he said, why have you been asked to watch this? They're just fighting. And I says, well, there are many conversations, there are many scripts in this movie. And one of them is, if you believe something, then it is so. You can actually create it. So Keanu Reeves was told that he was the one, you know, when he didn't believe it. And then when he had to do something to rescue and save the world, he became the one. And so he literally flew from one building to the other because he then believed. And his whole exploration was, you know, if you believe that the wall is solid, then your hand won't go through it. But if you believe that everything is energy and your hand can go through it, it's porous, then it will. And that's what he did. And so this is where we're really tapping into the realms of what is real and what we think is real in terms of our filters. So if we think something is difficult, then it will be difficult. So I do my best through meditation, especially if I'm having a challenging time, to literally look at what I want to create, what I want to manifest in my life. So even, yesterday I met up with a friend and I was a bit late off the train. And I said, as we were walking through the centre where we met up to the bus stop, I said to her, the bus will appear just as we get there, and we will get there very quickly to our destination, and the walk will be easy. And as we exited the shopping mall from the train station, the bus was there, and it didn't take any time at all. I know this sounds a little bit kind of, fluffy, but it's true. She said, I don't know how you do this, but I've watched you do it. And she says, you just say it and it happens. So it is about belief and about believing that what you wish to create, you can create. Everything is created through our own filters.
I really believe that. I know years ago, this is when I was growing up, I was very young. I was told that I was heavy, and I've always believed that I've been heavy ever since that. I was told that I couldn't sing, and I've always believed I've had a bad voice, and I just recorded a single with Madeline. So it is interesting how we really believe something. And just like you see people who have eating disorders, they truly believe that they're overweight, or or they need to be in control of something. But I know that you yourself have really changed tremendously. You were in the book here, where it's actually over here. Your story is actually here in Adversity to Awesome. You have one of the chapters in here. So you've gone through a transformation yourself. And I'm wondering if the meditation and the gong baths and all those other things have really helped shape and frame who you are today.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not the person I was. Absolutely. I've totally changed. So much so that a lot of the people that I was very close to, some very dear friends, I'm not the same. And even though I felt very sad that, I've lost a lot of friends from my corporate world, I am not the same person. And sort of a few of my friends said, we didn't leave you, you left us. I remember when I first went to uni, started studying, and it was much later, and I invited some friends along that I was dancing with, sort of in the clubs and in the pubs, and we would be dancing on stage. It was a very kind of the thing that we did. And I invited them to my end of first year celebration bash, and it was a fancy dress up, and they didn't want to dress up. So I said, well, I won't then. And they came. And they only stayed for about half an hour. And one of the girls stayed back. And she said, I want to tell you why we're all going home. And she said, we don't belong here. We didn't realise that you were educated. And I said, what do you mean? I'm still the same person. She said, no, you're not. We don't belong here. And so that's why we've left. Now you can be who you truly are with your friends, because we're not the same as you. And I said, I'm still that girl that dances on stage. And she says, no, you're not. You've changed. And she said, now we leave you because our friendship has changed. And it was because they saw that I had changed, that they decided that it was me who left them. And I've gone through lots of iterations of those kinds of changes, and very incredible, deep and meaningful friendships that I thought were forever. We kind of think that when we're really close to somebody. And it's not that anybody did anything wrong. It's just that what happens is life happens, things change. And then when we create space, other people can walk into our lives. And I lost an incredible dear friend. And when that friendship literally broke down because we wanted to be right and wrong and do the blame game, and I really wanted the friendship to last, and we kind of do that stuff. What happened was a beautiful Tibetan monk in robes walked into my life and became my new best friend, and that was within 2 weeks of a very, very beautiful and incredibly long-lasting friendship broke down. So now, even though I miss that friendship, I actually feel that everything is for a reason. and I would never have had that beautiful friendship with the monk that I did. He became my new best friend and mentor and my teacher and my guide. And I just wouldn't have had the space for him if I didn't have that friendship that broke down.
You really touched on something that I think many people across the world, especially during the pandemic, as a result of the pandemic, relationships changed, priorities changed, needs changed, desires changed, hopes changed, and many of the relationships that we were so used to have fallen by the wayside. But from what you're saying, that's okay. That's part of life, right?
Yes. And I'd like to bring up something else. Have you heard of the term sacred contracts?
Yes.
You have. Sacred contracts is something that, I'm going to go a little bit woo-woo at the moment, if that's all right with you. Is it okay, Dr. Jacalyn?
Of course.
Sacred contract is something, if we, let's just take, and this isn't that you have to believe, just for me to explain this concept. If we take the belief that we were spirit and we are spirit and come into a human body to have a human and a physical experience, an emotional experience. So if we just take that in this context of me explaining this, rather than saying, yes, that's what we are, but just for this exploration. And what happens is that when we're spirit, we've actually had conversations with other spirits, before we came down here and incarnated into our human existence. And we made a deal or a contract. And so that could be, well, when we meet, we're going to have the most incredible friendship. And then when you've learned what you need to learn, I'm going to teach you these things. Then our friendship, our contract is over. And then we leave each other. And so we both agree. We say, yeah, that's great. And what happens is that we come down on this earth and we don't recognize the spirit. And we go through that incredible friendship or whatever it is that we had to learn from that person. And then for some unknown reason, it breaks down, it sort of stops working, and we try and make it work. We keep on, sort of saying, well, you did this and you did that and you crossed me. And actually it's because the sacred contract is complete. Both sides of the sacred contract are done. And that's why the friendship or the relationship breaks. But as our human side, our ego wants to be right, wants to make the other person wrong. And so what we do is we then say, well, you did this and you don't love me and you don't care and you shouldn't have said that and you shouldn't have sworn and you should, whatever it is, we find, the ego finds we go into the blame game and the shame game and the guilt game. And whatever it is that we do, we kind of make the other person wrong. And that seems to be the human dilemma of the sacred contract is done. And so the friendship or relationship ends. And I'm now starting to understand a little bit more about why some of the friendships that I've had have come in and why they've ended, even though I'm still human and it's still difficult sometimes to accept that friendship has gone or the relationship has gone. But it's because the sacred contract is fulfilled on both sides.
Great points. Thank you. I'm wondering, as a follow-up to that, and I've done this in my life as well, a relationship, it doesn't matter whatever kind of relationship it is, it's going south and one person desperately wants to hold on and the other one doesn't. And you hold on to things, to tangible things that maybe you were given by the person or you got as a result of going somewhere with the person, or maybe it's cards or letters. Is this a good process, a practice, or is it something that we should also let go when the contract is up?
This is a really good point. And I want to share something with you that I did so that it gives you some semblance of how to handle it. The feminine energy particularly, and we're both masculine and feminine. So the feminine energy is the emotional energy, the creative energy. And the feminine energy likes to hold on to things. But the masculine energy just lets go, just kind of, clears everything down. And so when my marriage broke up, and that was way back in 2005, I literally cleared everything. So I got rid of all the pictures, all the wedding pictures, and we got lots of very fancy frames. And essentially I said, well, I'm going to bin them to my then almost to be ex-husband, or you can have them. And because they're very expensive frames and they were good pictures, he says, well, I'm not going to let you throw them away. I says, well, then you can have them. And so can you see that I was in my masculine energy and he went into his feminine energy because he had an emotional attachment. But I literally cleared everything within that 6 months. And what it did was it actually gave me a fresh, energetic slate. And I just felt clear and pure again, like I'd let go. And so, yes, the things that we hold on to have a vibration, it has an energetic attachment. And I remember there was a huge picture, a boat picture on the main living room wall that had a huge big black frame. And I remember taking down all of the wedding pictures and I felt better. And I left this big, boat picture, which I knew was one of his favorites. And I left it, sitting there, and it took up most of the wall. It was huge. And I kept looking at it and I felt there was, I wasn't comfortable sitting in the living room. And one of my friends turned around and she said, why don't you take down that picture? And I did. And I couldn't believe the change. I felt like there was air, like I could breathe again. I felt like there was like spring had sprung. It was most bizarre. So things contain frequency, contain energy, which keep us trapped, however you want to look at it, or contained in the space of the past. And it is about letting the past go, because it's not about living in the past, it's about living in the moment of the current moment that we're in.
Thanks for sharing your personal story. One other thing I think is interesting when we talk about that emotional connection or that energy is, if you've seen it, they have it in movies and television shows, but it's really in real life. Someone passes away and one person gets rid of everything immediately. They don't want to see the chair, anything that person was, used or had as part of their life, that has to be gone. And someone else won't throw away anything. They keep everything. It's 20 years later and the room looks exactly like it did when the person was there.
Yes, I find that very difficult. When my brother passed away, it was hard for me when things were, being what we call divided up, and, because he had a lot of new stuff and it had to be done quickly. It was challenging for me to have anything. I just says, no, I don't want anything. And, that was because it felt too difficult for me. Whereas from other members in the family, it was much more of a practical thing. Well, I could do with that, and I quite like the TV, and it was. And there's no rights or wrongs at all. It's just how we are able to cope. Some people like the things because it's a comfort and it reminds them of the person. And for some people like myself, it was just really difficult. And my mum gave me my brother's laptop. She says, well, you're the one that's using, the technology. You're the one that's going to benefit from the laptop. And I says, well, what about the children? And she says, no, I want you to have it. And it wasn't that I didn't want any part of my brother. That wasn't what it was at all. It was just that it was difficult. It was challenging for me. And so we all respond in different ways. And there isn't a right or a wrong way. There's just our way. And, I wished I could have felt more comfortable. My mum said, well, the laptop's yours. so I had the laptop. And I have to say that it is what I would call the spare the laptop that's spare rather than the one that I use. And that's because it is the keepsake rather than the something that I use as an everyday. Rightly or wrongly, it feels that that is something that's my way of handling things. But, you know, for others, it's much more comforting for them to have whatever it is that makes them feel close. But that just isn't my way.
Thanks. I'm learning more and more about you. And something I'll share with you, as I share with everyone, is we're live. When my father passed away, we divvied up things as well. And he had this beautiful bracelet and his name, Jack, in diamonds. And so I took that, and my jeweler, Margie Cedrone, she added an IE. So it's Jackie. And I love the bracelet because I feel like my dad's with me, but I hate being called Jackie. I just cannot stand being called Jackie. And people I've known from when I was in high school, they know me as Jackie. My mom still calls me Jackie, but other than that, most people call me Jacalyn. But I love wearing the bracelet, and it doesn't bother me with the bracelet. Isn't that odd?
Well, that's the emotional feeling of it's all okay. You know, that's you feeling comfortable with your dad is close to you. And so there is no filter on the irrelevance of the name anymore. It's your dad, you know, and that's the piece. You know, for some people that's a comfort. And that's why it doesn't matter that it's Jackie or not Jacalyn. And for me, I kind of, you know, I'm emotional anyway. So if I had something, I'd be crying all the time. You know?
Do you have any nicknames, Caroline?
Oh, well, when I was young, very young, they used to call me Little and Large.
Little and Large.
Yes. And this is a real, you know, people that have known me for a very long time since I was at school, they will know that I was very slight at school. You know, I was sort of less than 5 foot then. I've grown a few more inches, but I was less than 5 foot, so I was a pint size. And I was also large. I was well endowed. You know, I was quite voluptuous, so they called me Little and Large. So my mum was very disgusted with the terminology, and then because everyone used to say, "Oh, there's Little and Large," you know, and my mum then got used to it. And I even on my 21st birthday, I got about 100 tickets, and I actually said, "Little and Large invites you to her 21st birthday." and it was just something that was a term of endearment, and I was comfortable with it because it was me embracing, you know, how everybody saw me.
So when you sent out that invitation with Little and Large, did you feel good about using that terminology, or did you just feel like, hey, this is how everybody sees me? Did you see yourself that way?
Yes, I did. And I saw it as a term of endearment, that, you know, that these were girls and guys that just saw me that way. In fact, the club that I got the tickets from, because they printed these tickets, they thought that I got an act coming. I said, "No, that's me." But, you know, it was challenging because I didn't like being large. You know, I quite liked the fact that I was petite, but I didn't. So I always used to cover myself up, and that was something else that people said. You know, that was a challenge for me, that I didn't want to. I didn't like to show up in that way, and so that's something that I've actually worked through. And certainly in 2000, I landed up with a reduction on the NHS because my neck started to concave because I was carrying too much weight because of my size. I was carrying too much weight, and my neck started to come out of alignment. So they put me as a reduction on the NHS because they said if I didn't, I'd land up being a hunchback for carrying so much weight. So that's, you know, and that was a really challenging operation because I landed up having the operation 6 weeks before I got married. And so I was, too large. And as soon as I had the operation, literally in the preparing for it, I lost 3 stone in weight, preparing for the
Is that
operation.
30 pounds?
Oh gosh, it's 14 pounds, I think, to the stone. Oh gosh, I'm not very good with moving it around. It's 2 pounds to a kilo.
All right, we'll figure this out later. But it was a lot of weight
Yes.
that you lost.
Yes,
And
I went from a size 16 UK size to a size 12 Dorothy Perkins, which was very small. And when people saw me, they says, "Oh, there's only half of you," because I literally didn't need to have the weight to be in proportion anymore. And so when I had the reduction, I was literally very, very slim, and it was the slimmest I'd ever been. At that time. And it was wonderful. And I felt more confident to be more myself. So there was, some challenges with me being voluptuous, even though everybody loved me. It was challenging for me. So I had some issues in terms of my own confidence. And I was friends with many men at the time, and they would always say, you have a real problem about your size. There's nothing wrong with you. You're beautiful. And because I used to wear like sort of big baggy tops and, to hide my figure. And only in later life did I realize the bigger the top, the more it showed that I was big. So you have to learn these things, don't you? But these were all things that when I started doing this work in 2000, that I work through, because we all have things that, that are difficult, that are challenging through our childhood. That I embraced it through the joking, because I realized they weren't being nasty, they were being loving, they were being, kind, and, sort of, there's little and large. And my mum even got into it. She says, I don't like them calling you that. But actually, she realized it was a term of endearment. I have another one. I also used to be called Centimeter.
Centimeter.
Because I was tiny. And my initials were CM. So my maiden name is Malik. So Caroline Malik. So CM, Centimeter.
I thought because you had a lot of legs. I'm thinking of the insect. What is it's
centipede.
Centipede. Okay, centimeter. Yeah. Got it.
Yeah. Centimeter is small.
Small. Exactly. It's very small. See how we're all over the place with our topics? I love it. That's why this is a show about nothing. But no, you brought up a good point, and thank you for sharing that. I think you and I are around the same age, from the same generation. I also was 5'3" with a big chest, and I had a lot of I just hated myself for a lot of reasons. But what people don't realize is that when you have, if it's your natural breasts and they're not implants, I don't know anything about implants, but natural breasts, holding up that weight, it puts a lot of pressure on your shoulders and your back and your neck, and it's not fun. I don't know how it is with implants, because I imagine they stay up by themselves, but I would still think that it causes you to have back issues. And yet we see women getting larger and larger and larger breasts. We've got these TV shows on here in the States about women who've gone for not just women, people have gone for plastic surgery and it didn't come out the way it should. And then they go in, they want to be larger. And I think, oh my gosh, no, not any larger, because just that weight pulling you forward. And I don't know, it wasn't for me, but I'm still pretty much the same size I've always been. And I just got better bras.
Well, it was, I only worked out that it was a problem when I was learning to drive, and I couldn't do the reverse round corner. And I know this sounds like a really crazy thing that happened, but I just could not do the reverse round corner, and it really hurt my neck. And I couldn't push my neck back to literally turn to reverse round corners. And it was the only maneuver that I couldn't do to pass my test. Everything else was great. And when I went to the doctors, back then, they put me in a collar saying that, that my neck needed to rest. And then I was sent to a specialist. And it was then that they worked out why I was having problems with my neck. And so that was through the fact that I couldn't do the reverse round corners in a car and couldn't do my test was how it all came about in terms of being put onto the waiting list on the NHS for a reduction. So it all came about not in the way that I was expecting, that I just thought that was me, that was just how it was. At the fact that, it was learning to drive that made me realize it was a bigger problem than I thought it was, and much more consequential to be carrying that kind of weight.
Yes, I definitely hear what you're saying. It's not pleasant, and it does have a big impact on our self-esteem, but you're in a good place, I'm in a good place, and we hope everyone else is in a good place or working on it. Caroline, we have to close out our show, but I do want to bring up the fact that you have a course that's available for people. I've got the link right here. Can you talk a little bit about this course and what people can expect?
Yes. I work with the chakra system, the 7 major chakras, which are related to the 7 major glands of the body. And this course is an activation. It's looking at the psychology of the chakras, and it is an activation in terms of clearing and balancing the chakras. It has many layers, many levels to the course, and it'll move you into a state of feeling peaceful, more balanced, and more in harmony with yourself, with your family, your friends, and those around you. It is also a very healing course. So it's not just a mind course in terms of understanding it from a mind perspective. It is a healing and a therapy course and an activation of the 7 major chakras. And you can buy it at this link. That's on screen now, and it's $49. And literally, I will see you on the other side of that course, because it will be revelationary to you and an experience that is exactly that. An experience is not something you can literally explain. It's something that you will experience that has no words.
Beautiful. Thank you. And thanks for being here today. I
It's
hope
been
you enjoyed your rapping about this, that, and the other, and basically whatever comes up. It was fun. Thank you.
Thank you. I didn't know what was going to come up. God, I've shared a few things today.
Well, you'll have to come back and share more. And I do have your banner here. So in addition to the course, how can people hire you and work with you and get their free 30-minute Zoom stress buster?
You can contact me on my email, which is NoMoreStress. That's the 3 words, NoMoreStress @live.co.uk. I offer a free 30-minute stress buster, which literally identifies the root cause of 1 or 2 of your symptoms, and you will feel relaxed, calm, and the symptoms will alleviate. So email me to schedule a time that works for you and for me, and I look forward to working with you and helping you literally bust your stress.
Thanks, Caroline. And you can see Caroline with me on the Listening Mentor shows on Fridays. This Friday, Caroline has the day off, but she'll be back next Friday. So thank you so much. All right, we're going to head out now. And please do follow Caroline on social media. Please contact her. And our next show is coming up. It's the Mallorca Connection. So we'll be back soon. Bye for now.
Thank you. It's been great. Thank you.
You.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.